Hi besties, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tara, and if you are new here, I am a new grad dental hygienist, and I make content about being a dental hygienist, lifestyle, travel, and more. And if you are a returning bestie, hey girl, hey. Yeah, as you can tell by the title of this video, today I'm going to be talking about temping as a new grad dental hygienist. So I have my laptop here, y'all, because I created a few segments and things in specific I want to talk about when it comes to temping, y'all. Since I have been temping, let me start off by saying I have been loving temping, y'all. I get so many questions from like previous classmates or like people will DM me on TikTok, and I decided to make like a video going in depth about temping. So the first question is what got me into temping, y'all. So if you are watching my past videos that I have made, then I started out when I first graduated about 6 months ago at an office that I was working at full time, y'all. And long story short, I just hated the office. It was not a good environment for me. It was not a good environment for a new grad. I didn't like the office manager. I didn't like the dentist. They had instruments that were not sharp. The pay was low. I felt like I was being downgraded as a new grad. I also felt like I was being like mistreated as a new grad. And it was just so many things that I did not like within the company. And it wasn't how I imagined my first job fresh out of dental hygiene school to be, y'all. Before I quit this job, I was really hesitant on quitting because, like I said, it was my first job. And I'm like, girl, you need to get like some stability. You need to be working, yada, yada. Y'all, every single day, I'm not kidding, every single day I was coming home from this job, I was crying because I hated this job so much and I was severely depressed. I was regretting what I went to school for. I wasn't even sure if being a dental hygienist was my life path. Like, God, if you're trying to tell me something, let me know. Y'all, I just hated it and I prayed and prayed and prayed about it. And one morning I got up and I said, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, y'all. I took some time off and I decided to tell the office manager that I did not want to continue to work there, and I decided to temp. So let's get into temping, y'all. Temping was originally something that I wanted to do before I even graduated, but I kind of stuck myself out of it because I was like, as a new grad, I feel like you need stability. I also feel like I kind of let other people like talk me out of it because other people are like, oh, that can be nerve-wracking as a new grad, like students, just friends of mine, family. Everybody's saying, oh, that can be nerve-wracking as a new grad, like you need stability, you need to start full-time in office. And I'm like, maybe you guys are right. Like I do have anxiety and all of the things. So I decided, okay, I'll just start at the office. And once I hated the office, I was like, okay, that's it. You're temping. You're temping. Like I'm not about to wait to find a job. I'll be applying to jobs and I'll be temping in the meantime. So if you don't know what a temp hygienist is, first of all, a temp hygienist is sort of like the substitute teacher for a dental office, or if you kind of want to think of like how nurses work like LPN, like as needed, and they work like less days or yada yada. But I wouldn't even say that because as a temp you can build your schedule to work as many hours and as many days as you would like, which is kind of what I do now. But yes, that's what a temp hygienist is. um and like I said, that previous job is what got me into temping, y'all. So my first time temping, I was a complete wreck. I cried before I went in there, y'all. I had so much anxiety. I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this. And then I started doing it, and I'm like, okay, this is not that bad, y'all. The thing about temping is, yes, you're in a different office, you're in a different environment every day. But the thing that I love about the career that I have chose is dental hygiene is repetitive. It's a very repetitive career. So the way that you do stuff, checking perio charts, updating charts, cleaning the patient, using the Cavitron, the basics of dental hygiene is never going to change no matter what office you go to, unless you're doing like some illegal stuff, because it's just that repetitive of a career that you're doing the same thing no matter where you want to go. Yes, different offices do stuff different and they have their little ways that they want to do stuff, but the primary game plan when you're going into an office is mostly going to stay the same. Like you're going to treat a perio patient the same way you would treat a perio patient in any office. You're going to do prophies the way you would do prophies. Like it's similar no matter where you go. So after I cried, y'all, I went in there and I made it through the day, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I can do this. And I cried again when I left, and I called my girlfriend, y'all. I was like, I cannot do this. Like I'm gonna have to find a permanent job. Well, I guess God didn't have it in the plans for me to find a permanent job, y'all, because in between time I had applied to like 2 offices. I had interviews that I felt like went really good. They would tell me they were going to call me. They never called me back. So in the meantime, I just kept temping. Also, during this time, I'm praying. I'm like, God, if you want me to just temp and you don't want me to work a full-time job, then let me know that too. And now during that season, I was feeling a little rejected, like, oh, nobody wants to hire me because I'm new. But now I know that I feel like that was not what God had in the cards for me. And I'll go a little more in detail about that too. So let's get into the pros and cons of temping. Let's start with the pros. The pros. The number one pro I feel like is you get to make your own schedule. So you decide what days you want to work. You decide, do you want to work 3 days? Do you want to work 4 days? How many days a week do you want to do it? This week, do you want to do 5 days and go crazy? Or next week, do you want to do 1 day and chill at home? It's ultimately up to you. I feel like this is very, very, very important, especially for new grads, because y'all, I am friends with new grads. I know new grads. I know so many new grads that we are 6 months in our career and they are burnt out of dental hygiene because it's so repetitive. I feel like with temping, it makes it hard for me personally to get burnt out because every day I'm stepping into a new environment. And also, when I start to feel like I'm tired of dental hygiene and I'm overworking myself and I'm doing too much, babe, I will work 2 days that week, or I will work 3 days that week instead of 4, or I will work 1 day. I decide that. Now, granted, of course, that's decided, like, that's depending on like your bills and like your lifestyle, however. But I feel like that helps me avoid burnout, especially because I am a person who I already get bored with things quick. And every job, I'm gonna just be honest with y'all, every job I've ever had in life, I've hated. Like, I don't hate working, but it's so hard to find a good job that pays well with people that you like. And temping for me has really just helped me like avoid that burnout, and that's very important, especially for new grads, but in any stage of your career. You don't want to go to work hating what it is that you do every single day. That's the number one pro. Number two, I feel like the pay, that's a common given, duh. Like, I feel like everyone knows that. Cha-ching, 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 babe. As a dental hygienist, specifically a temp, you are getting paid more. Y'all, I live in the state of Alabama, so the pay is shit. I'm gonna just be honest with y'all. The pay for a dental hygienist is bad. However, when I decided to switch to temping, I believe my pay is more a livable wage than working full-time in office. So temps get paid more than just a regular full-time in-office hygienist would get paid. I'm not sure why that is. I guess maybe because we're getting thrown in different environments. We're having to work with different type of patients. I'm not sure. Don't beat me up because it's a lot of people get mad that temps get paid more than full-time hygienists, but temps do get paid significantly higher than full-time hygienists, and we're talking about like $10 higher. We're not talking about like really $10 to $15 higher. We're not talking about like $5. Okay, and that is a con that comes with that too, but I will get into that. Another thing that I love is no dress code. Fun scrubs. Y'all see my cute scrubs, y'all. As a temp, sometimes I've had offices that'll tell you, oh, they want you to wear black, but it's rare. I have filled in about 15, maybe 20 different offices in Huntsville, and y'all, I just wear what I want. Like, some days I wear a dental hygienist shirt, or I wear these cool scrubs, and they might be wearing black scrubs. Like, I don't know. That might seem like a basic pro, but to me, that's a major pro because I feel good when I look good, y'all. I love bright scrubs. I got hot pinks, light pinks, purples, greens, light blues. Like, I love bright color scrubs because they just make me feel more confident and more sassy and just that girl in what I do. So that's a huge pro for me. Now, let's get into the cons. The cons. Like I told y'all, you're getting paid $10 to $15 higher. That's great. We love that. The con to being a temp is you are essentially tax free. So when I work, I get paid for that day that I work most of the time. I have worked at office where they pay you the following week, but for the most time, you're getting paid that day when you finish your shift. However, that pay is tax free, meaning they did not take taxes out of it. They did not take Alabama taxes. They didn't take state tax. They didn't take Social Security. They didn't take none of that. So that is up to you. So at the end of the year, when it's time to pay your taxes, babe, you're paying all that back. You're paying all that back. You're paying your Alabama taxes that you ain't paid back all year. You're going to have to pay all that back. Now, my tip for that is what I have been doing, y'all. When I first started temping, I was balling, babe. I was buying whatever I want to do, whatever I want, having fun, yada, yada, catching up because I've been broke for the past 2 years of my life and doing a hygiene school. However, when I started temping and realizing, okay, Tara, you are spending a bit much, now I take 10%. tax out of my check, which is Alabama state tax. I take it out on my own and I put it up. So that way, when it's time to pay taxes at the end of the year, I have the money to pay the taxes. Because I have not had to do that yet because like I told y'all, I graduated in January, so we're only 6 months into the year. So I have not had to pay taxes yet as a hygienist. But it's not something I'm looking forward to because I heard Dave's coming. I heard she's coming. So I'm scared about that. Another con I would say is like life insurance, medical insurance, and 401k. Let's get into that. To me, this is a con, but this is a slim con. A lot of people feel like, oh, you're gonna have to pay Social Security back. To me, that's just the stupidest shit I ever heard because sorry, they're not even sure if we're gonna have Social Security when my mom retires. So I highly doubt they're gonna have it when I retire. However, I definitely do invest. I definitely do think you should be putting money up for a 401k. You should be putting retirement money up. You should be putting money in a Roth IRA. You should definitely look into all those things. And those are all things that you can get on your own. You do not have to work a full-time job to get that. Let's just start by saying that. Life insurance, medical insurance, all those are things you can get on your own. I've heard people say, oh, they feel like they're so expensive. Okay, for example, when I was working at the job that I was working at, my medical insurance was like $200 something. Now I pay $300. Okay, and I'm getting paid so much more to where I can comfortably afford that. Me personally, I would rather just get paid more and pay for medical insurance on my own than work for a job, hate my life every day, hate what I do to have benefits. But that's just me. That is just me. Another con I would say, offices may want you to be full-time and you might not want to be. That is not really a con, but it can be a con. Y'all, when I first started temping, I was temping with the goal of finding an office that I could work full-time. Now, I have had so many offices try to offer me a job, and babe, I don't want it. Like, it's one thing to go in the office and temp, and you there for the day, or you there for a few days, you get your money, you go about your way, you mind your business. Versus, y'all want me to be a full-time employee? I'm sorry, like, I am just here for a good time, not a long time. Like, then, like, I had an office, they wanted to offer me a pay. Well, I know that you're paying me this as a temp, so why would I settle for this as a full-time employee? Well, then she tried to go up on the pay and give me this, but it still wasn't this. So I don't know. It wasn't just that. It was a few other cons that I had with that specific office, and I just decided to say no. And that's not the first time that has happened. If you are a temp, especially a good temp, these offices are going to be asking you to stay. And that's kind of a con just because it can be kind of awkward consistently going back to the office and you're not a full-time employee. Like, y'all, after that, I've been back to that office several times, and I'm not kidding when I say every time I go there, y'all, they beg me to work for them full-time. And I just don't want to, and it's just awkward because I'm a slight people pleaser, so I'm like, oh, maybe I should just say yes, but I know that's not where my heart's at, and I know that if I do decide to work full-time, that's always something that I could explore. The office manager has even told me, like, Terry, you know you can work here anytime you want. So it's nice to have that in my back pocket. Another con I would say is not sometimes, I would say most times, not all times. No, I keep it at sometimes. A lot of permanent hygienists are bullies. They are bullies. They don't like you because you're getting paid than them. They specifically don't like me because I'm a young co and I'm fresh and I'm new to dental hygiene, and they can tell. Look at me. I don't look old. I got these bright scrubs on. I usually got on tooth earrings. I'm bouncy. I'm happy. I don't hate my career. I don't hate what I do. And they can smell that on you, y'all. And a lot of older hygienists, Meemaw hygienists, feel like they can humble you or try to humble you anyway and try to make it seem like you're not doing something right, or try to control how you do this, or how long you've been doing this, and you never thought about working full time at an office. Just little weird comments like that. And they will even move like harder patients to your schedule. Like, say you'll read previous notes and it's like a patient that's difficult, is always going to be difficult. They will do that. Or one hygienist might have started an SRP and she was supposed to finish the SRP, but now you're there and it's conveniently on your schedule. Little stuff like that they will do to you as a temp. Also, I've even had offices where they literally would move. She was not doing nothing, y'all. She had a break for like 2 hours because her patients kept no-showing. And I know for a fact a patient was on her schedule, and she moved the patient to my schedule and then came in my operatory and tried to help me set up and act like she was helping me set up for the patient. But you really were only helping me set up because you know you moved that patient to my schedule. which I have no problem cleaning patients and patients being moved to my schedule, because at the end of the day, I am getting paid and I'm getting paid good to clean these patients. However, you should definitely still be asking the temp hygienist, hey, is this okay? Or at least giving me some type of heads up, y'all. She never did that. She tried to act like she was helping me or like she was doing me a courtesy by helping set up my op. Whole time you was setting up my op because you felt bad that, you know, you just moved this patient to my schedule that was your patient and you've been chilling for 3 hours. Also, you guys, as a temp, because temps do get such a bad rep, I think it's very important to talk about what you should do as a temp going to an office. The first thing you should do is you should always get to the office early so you can learn where everything's at. Like I told you, every dental office is different. So you're going to want to learn where they put stuff, where stuff is in your room, where do they keep the floss, where do they keep the air water syringes, how do you perio chart, things like that. Where can I find the toothbrush bags to take home? You don't want your patient in the chair and you're like stumbling to try to figure out where stuff is. Most of the time, I do not tell my patients that I am a temp unless they recognize that I'm a temp, and then I'll admit that I'm a temp because it creates some type of anxiety for the patient. For one, that they're not being cleaned by their normal hygienist. For two, that you don't work here and you're essentially subbing in. It gives people anxiety on top of the dental anxiety they already have. So try to avoid telling them you're a temp, unless sometimes I get some really chill patients. It's usually like men, like real chill guys, and I'll tell them like I'm a temp if they asking about me and stuff like that. Also, the number one thing, y'all, I actually met a temp when we were in school, and she made a joke and she was saying that she always lied to patients and told them that she had been temping for 2 years, because if you tell a patient that you have not been a hygienist for like, if you tell them that you've been a hygienist for less than 2 years, they get anxiety. And y'all, I thought she was crazy for that. I'm like, nobody cares. No, people actually do care, y'all. People actually do care about the fact that you have not been doing this for less than 2 years, which to me, the whole thing is just stupid, because y'all, we had to see 38 patients to graduate. We had to see different types of patients, perio patients, kid patients, disabled patients, special needs patients, all type of patients to even graduate before we even started seeing patients on a daily basis. So essentially, we have been doing this for about 2 years now, if you count school time. Well, patients don't count that, y'all. Patients don't count that. They count real time that you've been in the office. And if you tell them that you just graduated 6 months ago, they are going to think that you are incompetent and incapable, and they are going to treat you like that the entire time of the appointment. So I do not do that. Y'all, I have done that before, and it has backfired on me, and they do treat you like you're slow the entire time. So now I do lie. And I am not a liar, but I do lie about how long I've been a hygienist for the sake of the patient and for me. I even had a guy, y'all, he sat in my chair and he was like, how long have you been doing this? And I was like, a little while now. I didn't give him an exact time. And he was like, well, good, because if you told me that you had been doing this for 6 months, I was going to tell you you couldn't clean my teeth. Y'all, and it was so funny because I cleaned his teeth. I did a good job, whatever we got done. He was like, you did great. You did great. Y'all, and I have been doing this for 6 months, and that man walked out that office and he never knew, because it's actually none of your business. And you have hygienists that have been cleaning teeth for 30, 40 years, and they've been cleaning teeth the wrong way all 40 of them years. So just because I have been doing this for 6 months does not make me incapable, and you're not about to make me feel like I am incapable. But y'all, I'm going to wrap this video up. Another thing I think is important is I get people asking me what's my end-term goal with temping, or how long do I want to temp. And in the beginning, like I told y'all, I started this off with hopes of finding a job offer. I've got plenty of job offers and I'm still temping, y'all. I would hope, I don't even know. Maybe one day I will settle down. Maybe one day I won't. I'm just going to continue to pray to God about it, and whatever God has in store for me, that is what I'm going to do. As of now, I can tell you for the remainder of the year, I probably will be temping. But y'all, life changes, stuff changes every day. If that changes, of course, I will give my girls an update. But I want to end this video saying I definitely recommend temping as a new grad. If you are nervous to temp, girl, don't be scared. Get out there, get your money, go home, and end the day. Because at the end of the day gonna end. Or whatever Glorilla said. Thank you.